in a different interview, you mentioned that you decided to form a band once you saw the Replacements. And of
Right.
course, we're big fans of the Replacements. How good or bad were they on the night that you saw them? Because of course they're famous for the fact that they were so good, but they purposely mess things up.
Well, it was early on, so they became worse as they went along,
Right.
which is the exact opposite of most bands, right?
Right.
So I saw them on the Hootenanny tour, the first show they played in LA,
Oh, wow.
and they did play Hootenanny, first song. They started out with Paul playing bass and Tommy playing drums and whatever. And it was, you know, it was, you could just tell like these guys are special. That's that thing about music where there's just special people. They might not deliver even. I mean, I've seen, you know, so many people not really deliver, but nobody didn't deliver like the Replacements didn't. So then
Right.
they switched back after playing Hootenanny to their own instruments, and they were even worse than playing the Hootenanny song, but it was just so charismatic. Then I remember at one point they did Sitting in the Back of a Car by Big Star, and they did it really good, and it was better than their own songs. And it was like, because they were trying to be good, they were trying to serve the song. And so I just thought, I walked out of there thinking two things. One is they are my favorite band. Two, I don't know why. And three is I can form a band. If they can have a band, I can have a band. Right?
Wow,
It really was this inspirational thing that other people said they felt with Velvet Underground. I think there's a very much a correlation that rock critics have never picked up on, which is this correlation of inspiration that the Replacements created that was similar to what I've read about the Velvet Underground creating, right? And obviously there's a bigger sample size of Replacements to be inspired by, but I think their main inspiration came from Hootenanny and Let It Be, and those shows they played over those 2-3 years. I think it inspired so many people to form bands, right? And when you hear Michael Stipe and Peter Buck talk about hearing the Velvet Underground record, they said, you know, I'm going to have a band. Right. Very similar. How inspiring Velvet Underground's first record was to one generation of musicians, and then how inspiring the Replacements as a whole, their live gig, their anti-corporate, fuck you to everybody kind of attitude with this brilliant songwriting.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely. One of the greatest, I think.
I mean, think about it. The song Androgynous. Paul Westerberg wrote that song in 1984. What are we talking about the last 2 or 3 years in our politic and in our social kind of communities? Transgender rights, LGBTQ. He wrote a song about it in 1984.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's a mind-blowing talent, Paul Westerberg.
I think there's that famous quote of his regarding the Replacements. He used to say, never let them see you try.
Well, I did see him one time. Because I just idolized him, and he was pretty gracious about it, but also we were like drug buddies. So, you know, I had that way of becoming drug buddies with my idols. Like, I don't know how that is. Drugs are the common denominator between the audience and the performer, right? At least when I was in the 80s. So, you know, when I started making music and playing music, I would talk to him about it whenever I'd see him. And I said, you know, I wrote this song and I realized it's called Happy on the first Lonely Sponsor record. And I said, I realized it's just basically If Only You Were Lonely with different words. And he goes, that's okay. Everybody does that. And I thought he would be mad if he heard my record and he'd go, that's my song. He just changed the words. He said, listen to Hard Luck Woman and listen to Unsatisfied. Meaning Hard Luck Woman by Kiss.
Never once put that together.
Yeah. So we're all inspired by each other and whatever. And he helped me realize that. But so Thelonious Monster was playing a show in Hollywood, and we had hung out the night before all night doing coke. And I went home like at 6 a.m. And he was supposed to play in Pomona, here where I live now. And all of a sudden, I was at my club, the Lingerie, where I was playing, and him and Tommy walked in, and I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "They wouldn't let Tommy drink at that fucking place, so we're not going to play. Can we play on your equipment here?" And I said, "Sure." And so before we went on, they went up and they played for about 20 minutes, and they were amazing.
Wow.
And they played the song "Can't Hardly Wait." That's the first time he had just written it, and it was amazing. But not only never let them see you try, only try when nobody knows you're playing.
Right.
Right? Because it was like Thelonious Monster was coming up. There was like 50 people there, the replacements of this big band. They come in and play on our equipment and played excellent. They played Alex Chilton. They played "Can't Hardly Wait." And
Wow.
that "Please to Meet Me" hadn't been made yet. And there was nobody there to see it.
Wow.
And they
Yeah.
canceled their gig because the club wouldn't let Tommy drink because he's under 21.
That's amazing.